Hi guys, a very warm welcome. And in this course, we are going to understand about the concepts of AWS, and we will be primarily targeting the AWS Solution Architect Associate certification. So let's look into what we have in this module. Course introduction. So I'll be talking about what all things that we are going to cover up in our AWS course. Let's first have an introduction to AWS. AWS stands for Amazon Web Services, and it gives us different type of services which are managed by the AWS. That includes the web services, database services, replication services, backup services, infrastructure as a services, and a lot of many other things. Ideally, AWS presently provides more than 200 plus services on its platform. Now, before understanding the concept of an AWS, let's first try to understand what exactly the cloud computing is all about. The cloud computing refers to the on-demand remote availability of resources such as computing power, data storage, networking, and so on without any direct management by the user. The companies that provide cloud computing services are called cloud providers or cloud service providers. For example, AWS, Amazon Web Services. That is a cloud service provider because it provides us the cloud computing services. The services are made accessible to users over the internet, and that is one of the advantage of working on the cloud computing platforms, because these services, the infrastructure provided by the cloud computing service provider, we can access them with the help of the internet only. Remotely we can connect from any location. The cloud providers ensure large-scale management of these services. Now, what exactly the AWS is all about? AWS stands for Amazon Web Services, and it is one of the top cloud providers. I would say the public cloud providers in the market that offers over 200 on-demand cloud services. So AWS is one of the largest cloud providers, providing us 200 plus services, and its infrastructure is spread across the globe. The services are extended to individuals, companies, and governments on a pay-per-use payment model or on-demand services. That is also one of the advantage of using the cloud computing platforms. Now, why we should use AWS? Because of various factors. The AWS offers us the reliability. We can create the resources which are reliable. It's a trustable platform. The AWS provides us the security. A lot of security measures we can implement when we create any kind of a resource or a solution on the AWS platform. We can have a multi-layer security also created, and hence AWS is considered as a secure cloud provider. Scalability. AWS provides us very large infrastructure. Their infrastructure is spread across the globe. Hence, there is no challenge in terms of scaling the resources that we create. For example, if I create any server on the AWS platform and later on I require to increase the resources of that server, I can do that on the fly. That is what the scalability offers. Cost effectiveness. AWS being a public cloud, it is open for everyone, and it is a cost effective platform because mostly the services are charged on the basis of on-demand usage or pay-as-you-go model. However, we can also subscribe for the services for 1 year duration, for 3 years duration, and likewise we can get some discount rates as well. AWS offers a cloud platform powering businesses in 190 countries. You would find a lot of case studies on the AWS. Even AWS is one of the top cloud providers having a very big market share. Mostly the top Fortune 500 organizations still trust and work on the AWS platform. Let's look into the brief history of AWS. This idea of an Amazon Web Services or an AWS platform was introduced in the year 2003 by Chris Pinkham and Benjamin Black that presented the idea of an integrated suite of web services. In the 2004, the AWS released its first service that is called as a simple queue or simple queue service. This queue service is primarily used in the order management. And since AWS originated from the e-commerce platform Amazon.com, hence the first service that was introduced was the queue service only. Later on in the year 2006, AWS officially relaunched another service that is called as an S3, which is a storage service. The full form of an S3 is Simple Storage Service. The Amazon S3 was a hit at that time, and the working of an Amazon S3 is similar to like Google Drive. We work on Dropbox for storing up the objects and the files. Likewise, we can use the S3 on the AWS for storing our important documents. In the year 2007, AWS launched another popular service, Amazon EC2. And with the help of an Amazon EC2, we can create a lot of virtual machines, virtual servers based on our requirement. And along with the EC2, AWS also launched a simple database service, and that was also quite popular. In the year 2009, Amazon launched the Virtual Private Cloud service, which is a networking service. And with the introduction of the Virtual Private Cloud, it allowed the users to create their own private cloud environment on the AWS public cloud. So with the help of a virtual private cloud, the users can create the layered security, they can provide the access to whomsoever it is required, and they have a full control on the resources. They can customize it. In the year 2010, the retail site or the e-commerce site of an Amazon was completely moved on the AWS platform. Now later on, since the AWS is a very dynamic platform, the company is very dynamic, they keep on making the changes. The growth kept on happening, and in the year 2012, AWS held its first reInvent conference for introducing any new technologies or the services that the AWS is going to introduce. In the year 2013, AWS officially launched their certification program. So AWS started providing certification courses for the computer engineers in the year 2013, and that's where the AWS Solution Architect, Associate, and the other training certifications came. In the year 2015, the profit AWS generated was somewhere close to $6 billion. Not profit, the revenue they generated was close to $6 billion. That was a huge achievement by AWS. And in the year 2017, AWS started grouping or started collaboration with other companies like AWS, and the DXC Technologies announced an expanded alliance. In the year 2019, AWS reported 37% yearly growth and accounted for close to 12% of Amazon's revenue. And in the year 2022, Amazon has released a preview of Code Whisperer, one of its newest AI tools for programmers. So it is a very good platform for creating a machine learning models or working on the artificial intelligence as well. So this was the brief history of AWS, that when the company got started, how the idea was presented, and what is the progress till now. So in brief, what all skills that we are going to cover up in our AWS course. We are going to understand about the virtual private cloud. There are a lot of components of the virtual private cloud are. We are going to understand about the AWS security and the best practices. Also, we are going to understand about the IAM, that is the Identity Access Management. We are going to understand about the storage services, different type of storage services that are provided by the AWS cloud, like the object storage, block storage, file storages and all. And we'll also understand about the container services, what exactly the Dockers and the containers concept is all about, and how we can use them on the AWS platform. About the AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate course. So why this course only? The AWS Solution Architect course provides an opportunity to design solutions that incorporate AWS services to meet current business requirement and future projected needs. You can also design architectures that are secure, resilient, high performing, and cost optimized. And also you can review existing solutions and determine any kind of improvements or the changes that are required. What would be the learning path? So this is a brief course outline that I have prepared. We are going to cover up in our entire AWS course. First, we are going to understand about the course introduction. That is what we have done in this module. Then we are going to understand about the AWS core concepts, how we work on the AWS, how we create the account on the AWS platform, and how the AWS global infrastructure is spreaded. Afterwards, we are going to understand about the compute and its related features, different type of storage services offered by the AWS. We'll talk about the networking and the security aspect of VPC, networking and the content delivery services. Afterwards, I'll talk about the databases, different type of databases like SQL databases, NoSQL databases, in-memory data stores, how we can work on them, what services we should be using for the databases. Then I'll be talking about the security on the AWS and the IAM, which is the Identity Access Management. With the IAM, we can actually create the users, roles, give them the permissions and all. Afterwards, I'll be talking about the serverless and the application services, which are quite important to understand. And that helps to build up the application and deploy them faster on the AWS platform. Afterwards, I'll be talking about monitoring and automation. With the help of the monitoring and the automation, we can get the metric reports of our resources deployed on the cloud. And with the help of the automation, we can get our solutions deployed quickly by the automation services. Afterwards, I'll be talking about the concept of the Docker and the container and how we can use the container services for the same. Now, coming to the exam format. The official exam information, that is the AWS Solution Architect Associate Examination, has been changed. So earlier we used to have SAA C02. Now it is SAA C03, which is recently launched by the AWS, and that is called as AWS Certified Solution Architect Associate C03 course. The format is going to be 65 multiple choice and multiple response questions. The time duration is going to be 130 minutes. And the exam language, you can go for English, French, German, Italian, Japanese, Korean, Portuguese, and simplified Chinese. The cost for the AWS Solution Architect Associate exam is going to be USD 150. But I would suggest that before appearing for the main exam, you should go for the practice exam. The cost is going to be USD 20. The delivery method, how you can appear for the exam, you can either book a slot in the testing center or you can go for an online proctored exam as well. So this was the course introduction, guys. Let's get started and look into the other modules about the AWS.